I'm going to call this meeting to order. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Apologize for the delay. I'll go into our land acknowledgement statement. We begin the meeting this morning by acknowledging that Niagara region is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Haudenosaunee, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe peoples, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The Regional Municipality of Niagara Police Services Board stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, and promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. Just going to do a roll call. Member D'Angelo is away. Member Eek.
Here.
Member Gale, who's joining us virtually.
I'm here.
Member Gibson.
I am here.
Member Lawson.
Present.
And Member McKendrick is away. Are there any conflicts this morning? Seeing none. Adoption of the minutes. We have the minutes of the board meeting held Thursday, June 23rd, 2022, moved by members Lawson and Eek. Are there any questions? Anyone opposed to passing those? That's carried. Chair's report. At this time, I'd like to welcome Ron LeClaire again today from the Ministry of Policing Services. He's our advisor, and Ron is again with the Inspectorate of Policing for the Ministry of the Solicitor General, and he serves as a policing services advisor to our board and all other boards across Ontario. He's at our meeting today as part of a routine visit by police services advisors, and we are pleased that Ron is attending our meeting, and we look forward to his continued participation at future board meetings. Also with us today is Niagara Parks Police Chief Paul Fortier. Welcome, Paul. The service has concluded its initiative for presentations to Niagara's local municipalities to address police-related questions or concerns. This initiative was undertaken as a result of a board motion made in December of 2021. And since that time, presentations have been made to Port Colborne City Council, Fort Erie, Niagara Falls, Town of Lincoln, Thorold, West Lincoln, Welland, and Waynfleet. There are no further presentations scheduled, and the board applauds the service for its due diligence and extends their appreciation to those members who represented the service at these meetings to strengthen communications between police, municipal boards, or municipal councils and area residents. On June the 28th, Heartland Forest hosted a donor appreciation night to recognize their many supporters who have made contributions to this valuable organization that benefits the Niagara community in ways of conservation, accessibility, education, and wellness. Vice Chair Eek attended the event as a representative of the board. Any comments, David?
Actually, it was my first time there, and I've got to say, it's just an incredible event and location for members of all our communities. It's very welcoming and ideal for children and any relatives to meet.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. On July the 13th, I attended the Canadian Association of Police Governance Biannual Roundtable for Police Services Board and Commission chairs. The meeting allowed chairs from across Canada an opportunity to openly discuss issues that are currently impacting police services across the country and to share knowledge on best practices for solutions to identified policing concerns. And on July the 14th, Member Lawson, board staff, and myself attended a brunch that was hosted by Chief McCullough for the NRPS members attending the International Association of Women Police Conference being held in Niagara Falls from September 12th to the 16th of this year. The conference is being hosted by the Niagara Regional Police Service, the Hamilton Police Service, and the Ontario Women in Law Enforcement. It is expected to attract 800 plus delegates from over 70 countries across the world. This will be the largest gathering of female law enforcement members globally. I will note, please look out on social media and our social media. They will be having a march with our pipe and drum band as well as Hamilton's. I think that'll be a fantastic event with over 800 delegates that'll be marching in that, as well as other service members. So we look forward to that. The Canadian Association of Police Governance hosts monthly webinars as part of its educational strategy to keep police boards and police executives across Canada apprised of issues currently impacting the policing community. Webinars are scheduled on July 21st and August 16th at noon for discussions on Canadian policing, why and how it must change, and charter issues and lessons learned from governance of policing a pandemic. As well, board members have been registered for the CAPG Virtual Governance Summit on August the 26th from 1 to 3 for discussions on the alignment gap in policing. Connection details will follow. The Canadian Association of Police Governance is hosting its 2022 Spring Conference and Annual General Meeting from September 7th to 11th. Should that not read Fall Conference? I think it should read Fall Conference. This year's conference theme is community partnerships and engagement, and delegates will engage in panel discussions, workshops, and roundtables with a focus on new ideas and problem solving around key issues facing policing today. I will be attending the conference virtually along with Vice Chair Eek, members Gibson and Lawson, and the board's executive director. On September the 8th, I'll be joining Chief McCullough and his executive staff at a recruit graduation ceremony to welcome 8 new recruits to the Niagara Regional Police Service and 2 new recruits to the Niagara Parks Police Service. The event is being held in the community room at police headquarters at 7 p.m. Further details will be provided closer to the date. In keeping with meeting schedule practices, the Regional Council, local area municipalities and agency boards and commissions, as well as other police service boards, there are no board committee or committee meetings scheduled for the month of August. The next board meeting will be held Thursday, September the 22nd at 9 a.m. in the community room at police headquarters. That ends my report. Any questions? Seeing none. Chief, your report.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, board members. And again, I just want to thank Chair Steele for volunteering his time to address the delegates who will be attending at the IAWP conference at the luncheon we had earlier this week, and also Member Lawson, appreciate your attendance, as well as Executive Director Deb Reed and Dawn for attending. Should be a great conference. Again, we're expecting 800 delegates in the March, as you mentioned, Chair Steele. Should be quite impressive, and we'll make sure that the board has information about the time and when that's occurring. And of course, we'll get that out on social media as well. Just with regards to our homicide statistics to year, so far this year, we've had 5 homicides in 2022. Comparatively, in 2021, we had 6 for the entire year. 2020, we had 5. 2019, we had 7. And in 2018, we had 2. During the reporting period of June 21st to July 18th, we did have 1 homicide, and I'll provide some details on that. On Thursday, June 30th, at approximately 9:30 p.m., officers responded to a report of a stabbing in the area of the Old Pine Trail in the city of St. Catharines. Upon arrival, officers located an adult male with injuries and no vital signs. The male was pronounced deceased shortly afterwards. The investigation was undertaken by detectives with the homicide unit. Through their investigation, a suspect has been identified and was taken into custody. The victim, a 29-year-old male, and the suspect were known to each other. 28-year-old Keegan George of St. Catharines is facing a charge of second-degree murder, and George was ordered into custody following a bail hearing on Friday, July the 1st. Members of the public who wish to provide information anonymously are encouraged to contact Crime Stoppers of Niagara online or by calling 1-800-222-TIPS or 8477. And just with regards to our traffic fatality and serious collision statistics for the month of June, there was 1 fatal motor vehicle collision and 0 life-threatening injury motor vehicle collisions during the month of June. To date, we've had 8 fatal collisions that have occurred in 2022. Comparatively, we've had 21 in 2021, 16 in 2020, 13 in 2019, 13 in 2018, and 16 in 2017. Just some information on that fatal collision. On Monday, June 13th at approximately 6:42 p.m., emergency services personnel were called to a report of 3 cyclists having been struck by a car in West St. Catharines. One district officers, EMS and St. Catharines Fire Services arrived on scene on 7th Street Louth between South Service Road and 2nd Avenue Louth to find 3 cyclists that had been struck by a white SUV. All 3 cyclists were treated at the scene and transported by paramedics to a local hospital. Despite resuscitative efforts both at the scene and at the hospital, one of the cyclists, a 36-year-old male, was unfortunately pronounced deceased. 2 other male cyclists aged 36 and 42 were treated for serious injuries and have since been released. All 3 men were residents of Mexico working in St. Catharines area farms. The driver of the SUV was not injured, and detectives from the Collision Reconstruction Unit continue to investigate the circumstances surrounding that collision. Some items in the news. On July the 2nd at approximately 3:46 a.m., 1 district uniform officers were on patrol in the area of Riordan Street and Gale Crescent in St. Catharines. The officers observed a vehicle driving erratically and initiated a traffic stop. The officers arrested a male driver after determining that he was a criminally prohibited driver. A search of the male and the car following his arrest resulted in the seizure of fentanyl, crystal methamphetamine, cocaine, Canadian currency, and a loaded handgun. The estimated street value of the drugs is approximately $34,000. Male was arrested and charged with several drug and weapons related offenses. On Saturday, July the 9th, at approximately 8 a.m., 8 district officers were called to the area of North Service Road near Olive Street in Grimsby in response to a single motor vehicle that had left the roadway and collided into a tree and ultimately caught fire. Prior to emergency responders arriving on scene, Good Samaritans removed the injured occupants, an adult male and female, from the vehicle and extinguished the small engine fire. The occupants sustained serious but non-life-threatening injuries and were transported to an out-of-town hospital. The actions of the Good Samaritans likely prevented life-threatening injuries, and their actions are commended. 8 district detectives have assumed carriage of the investigation. After a judicially authorized search of the involved vehicle, with the assistance of the Forensic Services Unit, detectives recovered physical and forensic evidence leading to a Brantford male being arrested and charged with several offenses, including impaired driving and possession of cocaine. In an ongoing initiative to address community concerns regarding increased commercial motor vehicle traffic in Lincoln and West Lincoln, the NRPS partnered with the OPP and the MTO for a joint enforcement initiative that occurred on July 14th. NRPS, OPP, and MTO officers intercepted commercial motor vehicles believed to be intentionally bypassing the truck inspection station and vehicles causing excessive noise within the community due to defects or modifications. Numerous commercial vehicles were stopped on rural roads and 5 redirected to the Vineland Truck Inspection Station for a more in-depth mechanical inspection. Total of 17 charges were laid, 11 vehicles were taken out of service, and 4 license plates were seized. A great collaborative effort on that initiative. And then finally, I just wanted to talk about the Wendy's positive ticketing campaign. The NRPS is proud to partner with Wendy's across Niagara for the 4th annual Summer Safety Campaign. Campaign is unique to Niagara and started locally in partnership with our Niagara Wendy's franchise owners. Niagara Wendy's have provided NRPS officers across the region with frosty coupons. Officers can use these coupons to acknowledge safe summer behavior, such as wearing a helmet or a life jacket, and through positive ticketing, create productive opportunities for Niagara's youth to interact with our officers. And the frosty coupons are redeemable at Wendy's store stores throughout the Niagara region. And Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Thanks, Chief McCullough. Questions from the board? No questions? Okay. We have two presentations today. First presentation is the point of sale scam intervention program. We have Police Sergeant Ray Assetti from the Central Fraud Unit and Constable Phil Gavin of Corporate Communications Unit. And they'll come forward to present this. Welcome, gentlemen.
Morning. There we go. Great. Chair, members of Police Service Board, Chief, deputies, senior staff, members of the public. Thank you for having myself here. I'm Constable Phil Gavin. I'm currently assigned to our Corporate Communications Unit. With me, Sergeant Ray Assetti. We have hoping to provide you an overview of our recently launched point of sale scam intervention program. Sergeant Assetti.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Sergeant Ray Assetti. I'm in charge of the Central Fraud Unit. I'm responsible for overseeing a team of 7 detectives assigned to investigate a variety of financial crimes across the region. This program came out of the challenges of 2 particular types of crime that we've been seeing in Niagara. One, the grandparent scam, and the other involving the purchase of gift cards by vulnerable victims. My responsibility again is to review these reports and investigate them, but also to come up with strategies and informing the public in an attempt to reduce victimization. So on several occasions, I've gone down to speak with Constable Gavin in relation to my concerns, and this program was created out of sort of the increase in these types of crimes and in an attempt to further reduce victimization.
So with that, we'll take you through some of the presentation. It's an overview, but we also have some slides from the presentation, so you'll have a better understanding. So the program launched on June 3rd of this year. We did a media release to notify the public. We believe it's an innovative approach to try and solve the program. The goal of this program is to provide education for frontline retail employees and financial institution employees, so that they can recognize and intervene in a scam as it's happening in front of them. So every year, scammers target Canadians, and particularly they target vulnerable victims. And vulnerable victims are those people who, whether it be through age, gender, disability, or some other characteristics, leaves them susceptible to crime. So scammers often tell the victims to go into a store, not communicate with any staff employees, and that there's an urgency to getting them money, or otherwise something bad will happen. That's where you see this grandparent scam, where a random member of the public will get a phone call saying, you know, I'm your grandchild, I need money, and they'll tell a story of being in custody or they need money. And ultimately the victim will go to a financial institution, draw large sums of money, or to a store and purchase gift cards, and ultimately give those to the scammers. And then one of the challenges that's often faced with this is that the scammers will say, don't talk to anybody. They're going to try and talk you out of it. Just go in, get the money, and get out of there and come back and see me. So do you want to touch on these, Ray?
Yeah, so the stats have increased as listed there. It lists about 57 incidents, but I'd say the numbers are a little bit higher. We're probably up to about 70 incidents involving the grandparent scam. As indicated, individuals are receiving calls from the scammers, and the approach typically is, you know, there'll be a little bit of an introduction where they'll tell them that there's some sort of an emergency. Either their grandchild's been in a vehicle, or, the driver's been arrested, and as a result, they've been sort of looped into this scam. The individual may present themselves as a police officer on the phone and will sort of outline the details of what's transpired. Again, the stories are very similar. We're finding some similar trends with the story that's being used. And, oftentimes they'll put somebody on the phone that they believe is the actual grandchild. A lot of the times there's again, a bit of a story behind that as well. The voice is not exactly the same because they have COVID, or, they just can't speak well. So, and they'll be emotional as well at the same time. So what we're finding is that a lot of the times the information is being provided unknowingly by the actual grandparent. They'll hear a young person talk and they'll say, well, is that you, Michael, or is that you, Jim? And then the storyline just continues. They just run that whole storyline through to them. And eventually what will happen is they will give them direction to basically go to the bank and take funds out from the bank. Most times people don't have these sums of money with them. Typically the ask is under $10,000. And they'll end up going to the bank to withdraw the funds. Now, again, with this program here, what we're trying to create is an awareness among the front line. I mean, we are investigating these crimes. A lot of the times there's a challenge because they're using some technology that sort of helps them distance themselves from this. But in addition to educating the public, we're also trying to educate the businesses, and that's where this program originated. Basically, is that we need to create an awareness amongst the people that are having face-to-face contact with these elders.
So as Sergeant Setti alluded to, you see the numbers are significant. $150,000 in the grandparent scam situation. That's a lot of money with multiple victims. And then as we get down into further, and that's money drawn from financial institutions. The second half of May, it discusses where an elderly couple went to a number of different retailers and over almost $20,000 worth of gift certificates they drew from retailers. And the officer who took the initial report actually asked the victims, did any of the sales clerks question you? And they said no. They went to 5 different sales clerks and nobody questioned purchases of thousands of dollars in gift certificates from frontline retail stores. So
if I could just add again with the grandparent scam, this has been ongoing for, the scam's been running for 10 years. The twist that we started to see this year, and this is not only in Niagara, it's seen amongst a lot of the services in the GTA, is that they're actually now sending somebody to the house to pick up the money. That's the twist that we've noticed this year. Typically, packages are sent via courier. Packages there's transfers, fund transfers into an account. But the additional twist this year, as I said, is the courier actually showing up at the house.
So leading up to this level of the education program, we previously directed prevention and education towards victims, talking to the victims, trying to identify the elements of scamming. We then directed our education towards entrusted family members. So having a family member go to their vulnerable family member and say, you know what, does anyone ever call you, and discuss what that process looks like and educating them. The next evolution, and part and parcel to those 2 incidents that we just alluded to before, is the education of the retailers. We feel that there's a role for the retailers and frontline bank institution employees where they can recognize something that's just not right and they can take steps to intervene. So as we discussed, educating for intervention with frontline retail and financial institutions is our goal. So this is what it kind of looks like on our webpage, on the Niagara Regional Police website. Members of the public can go, or members of the public, specifically retail employees and frontline bank employees or financial institution employees, can go, and this is what they'll see. Further down is the 2 blue boxes you see. They can click on the first box, which takes them to a PowerPoint presentation that will take them through a number of different elements of education, identifying a scam, how they do it, a bunch of different stages. And then the next box down below is to a poster. And we'll talk about the poster a little bit more, but these are all clicks that they can go and they can download the information, and provide it to their employees. Presentation itself is about 19 slides. It doesn't take generally longer than about 30 minutes to complete. The agenda within the presentation, as you can see, is an introduction to frauds, a basic video of how a vulnerable victim could be targeted, some statistics, definitions, signs of a scam so that they can identify it, and then steps of intervention. Finally, with types of scams and conclusions. So these are the steps that the employees would go through if they choose to take part in the program. So this is actually one of the slides from the presentation. As you can see, it touches on the signs of a fraud in progress. And these are some of the education pieces that they can look at and try and recognize if these things are happening in front of them that leads them to cause some intervention. This is another one of the slides that's actually in the presentation. This is actually leads them through the steps that working with Sergeant Assetti that we've identified as where they can get to that intervention. So you have that potential vulnerable victim who comes in and they're wanting to purchase $5,000 worth of gift cards to a local business. We're hoping that that kind of situation will cause something to click in that retail employee's brain that says this isn't right. So hopefully they're going to engage, they're going to get support, they're going to get one of their fellow workers there who's gone through the training. They're going to intervene, ask some basic questions. How are you today? You're buying a gift for your nephew? Ask some basic questions. And as you go through the presentation, we actually give some speaking points on and some language that they can use. Education is step 4, and that's where we get into the poster, which we're just going to allude to in just in a second. Step 5 is if the education is working or if it's not, trying to encourage the victim to contact a person of trust or the police before they move forward. And then ultimately step 6, which is an important step for the frontline retail employee or the bank, is decide whether or not they're actually going to move forward and complete the sale and say, you know what, with respect, ma'am, sir, we feel you're potentially being a victim, and at this time, we're not going to complete the sale. We're hoping that that's going to happen. I think Sergeant Assetti has said that he has had incidents reported to him through retailers that are starting to do that. So that's a really positive thing, especially when we're talking about large sums of money. Potentially, some people will have fixed incomes, $20,000. That's a lot of money for anybody, but for someone on a fixed income, that's money that you might not ever recover.
The challenge, just to add on that, the challenge a lot of the times comes with the individual who's obviously very motivated. In the grandparent scam situation, they become very focused and sort of not listening to anything else. In their mind, they feel that they have to act as quickly as possible. A lot of the times they'll add the additional layer in saying that there's a gag order, which means that you can't talk to anybody about it. Not the bank, not the employee, not anybody. So if anybody asks you what you're going to buy these for, it's for a home renovation or it's for a gift. And I mean, I've spoken to victims who've actually been on the phone with the suspects for a period of hours as they get walked through the paces from start to finish. And that's just to sort of prevent them from there being some sort of a road bump where they hear or they start to think about something. If they're constantly being spoken to, or if they're in front of a teller and they have the phone down, that person is listening into what they're doing. And there's no possible way for there to be any sort of disruption.
Thank you. So this is the poster. It's on step 4 in the education portion. The way this poster is supposed to work, it's not supposed to be out for the general public to see. It's supposed to be behind the counter so that the employee can say to the potential victim, sir, ma'am, we believe you're being targeted to be potentially a victim. Please come with me, take a moment, at least look at this poster. And you see there's 2 QR codes. The first one is to a video of a police officer acknowledging that we believe that you're a victim of a scam. And then the second one is a list of our known scams. So we hope these 2 pieces will help solidify even further for the victim, for pieces to click in and go, okay, maybe something's just not right. So if anyone has a phone with a QR code engaged, you're welcome to zap that. We can certainly move on. It's just really going to be me telling you that you're potentially a victim of a scam. But it's an educational piece that we hope that a uniform and the hat will reinforce to that victim that, no, there's police officers who believe that this is happening. So this is something that the retail employee can show the victim on their phone and say, this is happening. So in terms of feedback, we did launch in early June, June. I don't even know what that is. Early June, excuse me. We've had some great support from some of our partner agencies, the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center, and the Retail Council of Canada, the GNCC and Downtown Welland. They've put it on their various platforms, and we did get some coverage through some local media as well, and some of the larger media through Toronto. So we believe it has a place in terms of stopping crime and frauds and victimization. So we're hoping to continue to push it out on our various social media channels so that it continues to get out there and that different businesses can pick it up and educate their employees. So
Just to build on that, I as well have been in contact with the Canadian Bankers Association, obviously national. I've asked that they include it in their program. I've also reached out to some of the major retailers in the Niagara area to make them aware of it. On many occasions, I will actually call the actual store to find out and to make them aware, because I've had the good stories and I've had the bad stories as well. I've talked to people where they've told me that, I went to this store and they declined me, so I ended up going to another store where I was able to purchase it. So the gift cards are available in so many different stores. It becomes difficult to get out to everybody, but I have also reached out to the two major suppliers of the gift cards to make them aware of our concerns, to see if sort of limitations can be set. I'm trying to understand what the typical gift card purchase is. If someone is coming in to purchase $5,000 worth of cards, obviously there should be some sort of concerns or limitations that we can place on how many cards are purchased at once.
thank you. So that's the conclusion of our presentation. Is there any questions?
Great, thanks. Member Gibson.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. Sergeant Assetti, at one point you said, just mostly a point of clarification here, you said a courier often can arrive at the house. Now you're starting to see that. Is that an official courier company or it's a courier for the crime group?
So we've seen both. A lot of the times they'll rely on a Kijiji ad and hire a courier to go pick up. There has been, we have seen that there are people that are somewhat involved with the groups picking up the cash as well. So we've seen it both ways, where they will send a courier to pick up that has no knowledge of what they're picking up.
Right.
And others where investigations have shown that basically they may have some sort of connection.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? Member Eek?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. To the presenters, the question I have is, in your education process, I'm just wondering the methodology to contact directly small retailers, small businesses, etc. I understand it's very effective using the websites and the internet media, but I'm just wondering, is there an opportunity to distribute the posters and have that kind of the old school written delivered to the individuals to ensure that at the point of contact where somebody may come into the retail store actually gets that information? I know it's a challenge, so it's not an easy one.
You're right, and you raise a valid point, and actually Sergeant Assetti and I have had a few conversations about trying to find the nexus points to disseminate that information. Going door to door on all the businesses in St. Catharines is obviously a challenge, but finding those network points where it can be disseminated certainly is what we're trying to look for. Door to door in face, absolutely important. I know Sergeant Assetti and his teams, I don't want to speak for you too much, Ray, but I know they pre-COVID, now that COVID we're kind of hopefully on the other side, there's a lot of speaking engagements where there's those opportunities to engage directly. So certainly we're still in the infancy of this program. I think what you've raised is a very valid point, and it's something we're certainly going to look at is the larger the web, whether it be in person or using the internet, whatever gets it out there the most. I think those are opportunities that we're certainly looking for.
Thank you very much, and I respect the challenge that you have to reach people and the vulnerable people that can be, I guess, persuaded easily to certain things, and you want to put the alarm bells up for them. So absolutely. I wish you well on the program. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Further questions? Deputy Flynn.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks, Member Eek, for that question, and it just tweaked me. The Community Safety and Crime Prevention Committee for the OACP is connected back nationally through the Retail Council. I think it's the Canadian Retail Council. I'm sorry, I don't remember the abbreviation for it right now, but we'll make sure that Sergeant Assetti gets connection through to them just so they can be aware of the program in case they want to push it out to their memberships as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thanks. So no further questions. Sergeant Assetti and Constable Gavin, thank you very much. This is very important. I had an aunt that was called, different last name than my family, but they mentioned my son's name. So how they found out my son, my oldest son, was related to her, I don't know. So sometimes I don't know if you're finding it, some can be, I won't say an inside job, but somebody close to the family. But she was smart enough to call my middle son and say, "Did your brother get in a car accident?" He's like, no. So,
I mean, our information is in so many different places.
Yeah.
A lot of the times a quick scan, an obituary will give you a complete family history of everyone. And as I've said before, in talking to the victims, they swear that it was their grandchild that was on the phone. But I mean, they a lot of the times don't realize that they're providing that information as well.
Yeah. So
So
good. Great work. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
No further questions. I'll have member Gibson and Lawson move to receive the presentation. Anyone opposed? That's carried. Give you a few minutes. No, you're all set. Our next presentation is on human trafficking. And we have Sergeant Ryan Cumber from Special Victims Unit, Human Trafficking Unit. Welcome, Sergeant.
Thanks for having me here today. Just to give you a brief overview of human trafficking and what we're seeing in Niagara and just the makeup of our unit. So I'm the Detective Sergeant of the Human Trafficking Unit. We currently have 2 detective constables. We will be adding a 3rd detective constable at the end of the month. And the funding for those positions comes through the Community Safety and Policing Grant. It's just been renewed for another 3-year period. My position is funded by the Joint Forces strategy that we entered into in 2021. And additionally, as of June of 2022, through the Victim Support Grant, we've collaborated with Victim Services Niagara to add a victim advocate. The purpose of the victim advocate is to provide a non-police voice to some of the females that we encounter, or males. Primarily, we deal with females though, and provide the community resources to any of those females that are seeking assistance. So in January of 2021, when we joined the Provincial Joint Forces strategy, that provides us with additional resources, including access to human trafficking detectives from 25 different police services across the province, and designated human trafficking analysts. I believe they're up to 15 designated analysts now. This process, it's improved information sharing amongst human trafficking units, and it provides the resources for multi-jurisdictional investigations, where being a small unit down here, we may not have access to more manpower. We can reach out to them and they'll assist us by providing a team that we commit a detective constable to when it's needed. So what we do, we closely monitor sexual service advertisements that are posted in Niagara. And as of recently, with the opening of the economy and our tourism increasing, we've noticed that on a daily basis, we're seeing upwards of 100 sexual service advertisements going up. Since 2019, there were some restrictions through COVID as far as hotels and motels not operating. But as of now, we're up over 100 proactive checks that we've done, meeting with females that are advertising sexual services. When we do these proactive checks, we're providing the opportunity to these females to escape a life of sexual exploitation And then we offer community resources at that time, which is also where the victim advocate will come in. Should they have a background where maybe some people aren't comfortable speaking with police, they now have a non-police voice that they can go to access those resources. And those resources are not conditional upon somebody being involved with an investigation to us. Those are available to them should they need them. Our proactive checks, they primarily focus on the sexual service advertisements that are by females. The reason we mention females is because 95% of our sex trafficking victims are female. Made up of that is over 40% are between 18 and 24 years of age, and around 20% are under 18 years of age. In Niagara, when we do the proactive checks, we're finding that our females we encounter are over 18 and they fall in that early 20s range. Through those checks, we have not come in contact with a female under 18 at this point in time. We have had 2 reactive investigations that stem from frontline policing calls where we've dealt with underage females that were victims of trafficking. One of those incidents has concluded, and there was a female and a male that were sentenced to 6 years and 8 years in custody as a result of that investigation. Through our frontline reports, reactive calls were roughly around 60 calls per year. In addition to that, we monitor missing persons reports that may identify vulnerable teens that would be targets for traffickers. Since 2019, we've made 23 arrests and successfully helped 8 females remove themselves from sexual or sex trafficking situations and a life of sexual exploitation. And when we proceed with charges, the victims are receiving supports. A lot of it is offered through our victim services, but VWAP follows them through the court process to ensure that they're supported through that difficult process, getting to court and providing the testimony that's needed. And through our investigations, we conduct them with a trauma-informed, client-centered approach, just identifying that each person we deal with may have different needs and different backgrounds and potential historical trauma. We are currently working with 15 community partners to provide services to victims of human trafficking. They're listed here. Victim Services Niagara is our go-to as far as if we're active in the field, we can call them, and then they can then reach out to any of the other organizations throughout the region. Family and Children's Services is an example. If we come into contact with anybody under 18, we have Indigenous resources and resources for French speaking, and the Kristen French Child Advocacy Center. Also in Niagara, the YWCA plays a large part in that they provide the ability for us to safely house females that may need shelter. And we are involved in the education of community through presentations made to community stakeholders, secondary and post-secondary schools, and community partners are involved in providing education to the hotel motel industry and vulnerable youth, in addition to their own clientele. And as of this coming school year, the Ontario has mandated that secondary schools are going to add a educational component on human trafficking to their curriculums. And I know that's already started in some summer programs that are operating already. And that's the conclusion of my presentation.
Perfect. Thank you. Questions? Member Gibson.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. Thank you for your work on this very important work that your unit's doing, and every unit across Canada. It's a terrible crime. When you are introducing or meeting with the advertising sex workers, are they giving up their handler if there is a handler involved?
The majority of the time they are not. They identify as independent, and it's up to us to build a rapport to speak with them as long as we can to offer the resources. And there's a lot of challenges we have to overcome when we're dealing with sex trafficking victims. Some of the say threats that they may have received in speaking with us, or maybe just the psychological factors that we deal with, that they legitimately think that they're in a caring relationship, and that this work that they're doing is beneficial to the relationship and is going to keep their partner with them. So the majority of the time they do not. We have had situations where they do give up their trafficker, and we've had situations, one recently, where over the course of 2 years, we had 4 encounters with the same female proactively. And then she finally came to us and reached out for help after 2 years and 4 contacts. So.
Okay, thank you. If I may continue. And are you seeing any demographics of the women? New Canadians, local citizens? Is there any kind of a pattern there?
We are dealing with a lot of transient females, say, but they're domestic in the sense that they're from Canada, whether it be from out west. The majority of the females that we're encountering are actually from Ontario, but given the short-term rentals, motels, hotels in such a small area, we're a prime area for people to visit. It provides anonymity to them. They can be very transient, move from one hotel to another if there's anything of concern that comes up. So for the most part, they're either local or from Ontario.
Okay, thank you. One more, if I may. Is there a possibility, I'm just throw this out, some of your success stories to get involved with your team to talk to the women that you're meeting on a regular basis? So you have a success story where I think it said you have 8 that are out of the business now. Is there any opportunity for those 8 to assist you when you're talking with these young women?
I'd like to think that at some point in time there may be. Currently, we're not in that situation. There's other services that have been operating longer and do have a success story like that works cooperatively with them or with victim services. It's a long process of recovery from incidents like this. That would be the only reason that we currently are not accessing one of the females that have been removed from trafficking situations.
Yeah, perhaps something maybe down the road to look at. There's probably nothing more powerful than a woman who was in that situation 5 years before, speaking to someone saying, you know, this is how I went through it and this is how you can get out. So
I would agree with you. There's a great deal of success being seen by the services that have access. So it's definitely on our list should the opportunity present itself.
okay, thank you very much.
Great, thanks. Any further questions? Member Eek?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Question similar to Member Gibson. I was just curious as to the potential success rate as you intervene with situations and whether or not you can get them to relent their past in this sexual involvement.
The statistic would be very low as far as the sex or success that comes from the proactive checks. It's seeing value in the minimal amount that we do have success in, and just developing as we continue to work, just building our how we go about our questions and offering and building rapport. So the hope is that we see more, and to take into consideration that we haven't been operating or for the most part have been operating through COVID circumstances. I can see the success increasing as our economy responds as well.
Thank you. And again, similar to Member Gibson's ideas or involvement on those people you were able to persuade to leave that type of business. I'm sure that they've been into it as a result of funding. I mean, the dollar chases, most people, whether it's the scamming as we had previously. And I'm wondering if there might be an opportunity to obtain funds and to use workers that have left that business to become partnering with you so that they would have a bit of a monetary source that could help persuade these other victims to remove. As you say, it's very powerful to have someone that has been, shall we say, saved from that environment. And if you could continue that with some funding, I think it might be worth pursuing to see if there's value there. And I don't put that on you. It's part of the policing and the availability of sometime grant funding that wouldn't burden. I know people say, well, I'm going to burden the taxpayer, but no, I think there's maybe other opportunities. So I guess I'm left with a question of, do you think that's a potential, or are there other divisions? You indicated that there has been success stories along that vein.
Yes. So the funding that we receive for our victim advocate, that's the type of funding that could potentially be used should there be a suitable candidate that could work cooperatively with us. The difficulty is finding somebody that can come and do that work. They go through a bit of a re-victimization at the same time when they're trying to help. So it's important to find somebody that's stable and recovered and in a position that can help with that. So that would definitely be our intention, though, long term.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Further questions? Oh, sorry, Chief.
Yeah, just a comment, the province has made this a top priority, and we've certainly taken advantage of every funding opportunity that's presented, and will continue to do so. And just really want to thank the ministry for their combined efforts in really looking after some of the most vulnerable victims in our community. So thanks for that.
Well said. Thank you, Chief. So no further questions. If I could thank Sergeant McCover. Very appreciative. I mean, it's got to be a tough issue to deal with on a day-to-day basis. So as the chief said, we do appreciate our upper levels of government getting involved with us to bring the service down here. And thank you and your staff for doing this.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I should give them the compliments. I have an excellent group of people that I work with. So it's great.
Great.
Thank you.
So moved by members Eek and Gibson that the presentation be received. Anyone against? That's carried. On to item 8, our consent agenda. We have items 8.1 through to 8.8. If I could have members Eek and Gibson move that this information be received. Questions on any of these items? Seeing none, anyone opposed? That's carried. Under new business, we have item 9.1, budget planning, draft 2023 operating capital budget. If I could have members Lawson and Eek move that the board approve the budget timetable in accordance with the Niagara Region Bylaw 2017-63 budget control as outlined in Appendix 1 and 2 of the report. Questions? Anyone opposed? That's carried. Oh, I apologize. Sorry, Chief.
That's all right. I just want to thank Laura and her team for putting together this report, and really just want to highlight the pressures that not only ourselves but the region will be facing this budget year. As part of what's identified in the report, we anticipate that there may be as much as 1% coming forward as program changes to identify some of the gaps and risks that the service will be presented with this coming year. We certainly are aware of all of the growth that's taking place in the region, and And unfortunately, crime has not taken a break. So it will be a challenging budget, and we are certainly alive to what the guidance that will be coming forward to regional council, but also recognize that we are obligated to provide adequate and effective policing to our community at the same time. Just
Great.
wanted to highlight that. Thanks.
Thank you. So it's been carried. 9.2 is special fund request, Canadian Association of Police Governance 2022 Annual Conference. Moved by members Gibson and Eek that the board authorize a donation at the friend sponsor level in the total amount of $1,000 from the special fund to the Canadian Association of Police Governance in support of its 33rd annual conference. Questions? Seeing none. Anybody opposed? That's carried. 9.3 special fund request, International Association of Women Police 59th Annual Conference. Moved by members Gibson and Lawson that the board authorize a donation in the total amount of $7,500 from the special fund to the International Association of Women Police for conference costs at its 59th Annual Training Conference. Questions? Anyone opposed? That's carried.
Mr. Chair, if I could just
Yep,
comment.
go ahead.
Sincerely appreciate, I think when we first came to the board and said that we were going to host the IWP conference, I think there might have been a few looks of surprise, but as we get closer to the event, I think we all are seeing that it's going to be a very, very positive event and really open up Niagara to the world in terms of women in policing. So thanks for your tremendous support on this initiative.
Great. Thank you, Chief. Any other new business? There are no in-camera reports being brought forward. So this time I'd like to adjourn this meeting and just remind everyone that our next meeting is, I apologize, September the 22nd. So again, we do not have an August meeting, but it will be Thursday, September 22nd at 9 a.m. We are now adjourned.